want to say hello to my final guest, Ray, in the studio. Well, Ray on the end of the phone, Ray Castleton. Good afternoon, Ray. How are you?
Hello, I'm fine, thank you, Ian.
And thank you for joining us tonight on the radio.
No problem, thank you for having me.
Now, your play is part of the Greater Manchester Fringe as well.
That's right, yes. I've been on tour with it actually since the 29th of May, so I've done quite a few venues, and I finish off at the Greater Manchester Festival, Fringe Festival, at the King's Arms from the 23rd to the 26th of July, so I'm doing 4 nights in the small studio there. And it's an intimate piece of theatre. It has to be, because I think they only seat about 20 people in that studio, but it's ideal for this because it's the story of a lad who started his working life as a coal miner in the 1960s, and then 10 years later his uncle, who was a police officer, talked him out of the mines and into the police force.
Right.
And then 10 years after that, he was facing his mates across the picket lines in the 84-85 strike.
Right.
But it's not about mining or policing or the strike, although obviously that's an important part of it. It's about the man inside the uniform. And 35 years on, he's free to open up and tell you what he thinks about it all, because he's retired now and he's free of the shackles of the uniform. So he can open up and tell you what he thinks, and he does in no uncertain terms. So there's a lot of political relevance to what's happening today in it as well. It's not just about those past times. It's probably a bit of a story about where we've arrived now, actually, politics-wise, and now there's a mistrust of politicians. But there's a few laughs in it as well along the way. It's his life story. There's a love story in it about how he met his girlfriend who became his wife, and his relationship with his mum and dad. So there's more to it than just the picket lines and the violence and the prejudice across there. It's a human story.
Yeah, no, it sounds absolutely wonderful, and I'm glad he's retired, because that's best, isn't it? After a long working life, to retire and free, as you say, free of the shackles.
That's right. Yes, but there's it's not all sweetness and light, and it's not all doom and gloom, as is life. I think we've captured that. I've also had a brilliant young director called Jessica Arden, who I worked with on a play at the Sheffield Crucible. She was one of the assistant directors on that, so I dragged her back up from London. She's a Sheffield girl originally, but I dragged her back up from London to rehearse this with me for 2 weeks. And she's only 24. So she knows very little about the miners' strike, even though we're from the South Yorkshire area where a lot of it's happened. Yeah. And the idea was that we look at it through a fresh and young pair of eyes. So the idea is that if she gets it, people of her generation will get it. So between us, we did a complete reworking of it over a 2-week period, and she's come up with some brilliant ideas for me and for my performance. So we know it works. It's tried and tested over the tour,
Yeah, yeah.
And we've just finished at the Buxton festival with it, and it went down really well there. We did 5 performances and a workshop over 3 days, so that was quite a growler, but it really tested it out, and we know it works.
Yeah.
So it's just a one-man show, and it's approximately 50 minutes duration. I start at 8 o'clock, so it's all over, done and dusted, and you're back down in the bar by 9 o'clock, so everybody's got time to get drunk afterwards, and I'll be joining you.
Yes, and very relieved, I should imagine you will be as well, and dry, so you'll need a drink, won't you?
It's quite an emotional part to play, but I really believe in this story. It's a story that's really needs to be told and retold, because it was a significant year in everybody's lives, and it's a year that changed everything. It changed trade union law, it changed political thinking, it changed how polarised the parties could be.
Yes.
And it shows what can happen when even strong communities are divided and ruled over. And one wonders if, politicians deliberately divide us in order that they can rule us. And it raises all sorts of questions like that.
Yes, I know what you mean there. And I remember it well, actually. I was in my early 20s when that happened, and it went on for such a long time, and it was so devastating for lots of people.
Well, nobody believed that it would go on for a year, and these are the things that he deals with within the play. But he was at the infamous Battle of Orgreave, which you probably heard of, and you probably were aware of at the time. Now, there's an Orgreave Truth and Justice campaign, and I don't represent them.
Yeah, sorry, I'll have to stop you. We're running out of time. Big thank you for joining us tonight on Salford City Radio.
You.
Okay.